My name is Clara Towson, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
I am Francisca George, and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Susan Leemans and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom. Yeah.
My name is Zainab Sammaz and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hey guys, my name is Sasha Vickery and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hi, my name is Lloyd Harris and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Jan Faria and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Yes.
Take one. Well done.
Hi, my name is Jasmine Paulini and I'm a friend of the show.
Wow, Jasmine. You got it in one time.
Ready, play.
Jannik Sinner against Ben Shelton. Maybe the most anticipated of all the quarterfinals. And of course, we do know that that might just blow up in our faces as Jannik wins 2-1. Is Ben coming back a little bit? Obviously, he's not been out for long, but that was such a painful retirement he had, probably both physically and literally, against who was it he retired against at the US Open? Manarino, yeah, thank you. I had him as, a potential semi-finalist or finalist in New York. So, yeah, but now we're going to see him up against Jannik Sinner. And we have seen these two play at Wimbledon this year in a fairly one-sided affair. But I do think there are circumstances, unlike Alex de Minaur, there are circumstances I can see a Ben Shelton, Jannik Sinner match being very competitive. And maybe if Ben had a few more matches under his belt, I would possibly pinpoint indoor hard, slow, perhaps might be one of those. Maybe I think I'd probably prefer a bit quicker than this. So maybe someone like Turin. But there are some circumstances. I think probably Ben needs another year. But I think this time next year, I think Shelton versus Sinner could be a very competitive matchup.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it has been in a sense historically,
Yeah.
But I'm with you. I think if Ben was maybe a little bit more in form, obviously still out there roaring, still out there competitive, and honestly impressing me because I didn't really know what we were going to get kind of in this
They've
little
played quite a lot. They've played a lot.
Yeah, I know.
Just over 2 years, 7 times. So they also played in Australia this year. And although the head-to-head is 6-1, and although those 2 wins at Grand Slams this year were both straight sets, I mean, Wimbledon, as you can see, 6-4, 7-6, 6-4, 6-4, super tight sets. But ultimately, when the match was entering its latter stages, you sort of thought, yeah, this is done. And it was. The Australian Open, I think Ben was serving for the first set, didn't serve it out, pays the penalty. Who knows how that goes if he does win the first set? I think probably Jannik does prevail one way or another, but we could have been talking about a 4 or 5 set classic. And although it's 6-1, it was only 2 years ago that Ben got his only win over Jannik in Shanghai, which would have been just on.
Yeah, seriously. But regardless, I think like this week, evaluating Shelton's play, it's been, once again, a lot higher than I thought it would be. But I also think these conditions, it kind of just reminds me of his ability to adapt and like growth in his game in terms of the clay season that we saw from him.
Yeah,
I think these slower conditions actually like help him out. Kind of like, I would guess I would compare it to like Gabi Diallo in a sense, where they're just having a little bit more time to set up their ground strokes. And, it's very, very powerful. And we know how.
My name is Clara Towson, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
I am Francisca George, and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Susan Leemans and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom. Yeah.
My name is Zainab Sammaz and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hey guys, my name is Sasha Vickery and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hi, my name is Lloyd Harris and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Jan Faria and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Yes,
Take
sir.
one. Well done.
Hi, my name is Jasmine Paolini, and I'm a friend of the show.
Wow, Jasmine, you got it in one time.
Ready. Play.
I'll unmute myself. Maybe a little bit better. Welcome everyone to this watch along. Ben Shelton, Jannik Sinner in the second game of this match already. Shelton serving and holding a fairly routine game to open up the match. Matthew, thanks for joining us. That's a good question. What aspects of his game would he need? Essentially, like, what does he need to do better to make this more competitive? In my opinion, essentially everything but the serve needs to improve a little bit. Ground strokes, especially, I think, are an area where he's still growing in. You heard Brenner mention that briefly in the preview that was just playing. 30-love in this service games. These two have played 7 times over the last 2 years. First meeting was in Shanghai a couple of years ago. Shelton won that match in straight sets, and since then Jannik Sinner has won 16 straight sets. Provided that his health is good, I feel like it's going to go similarly today. Shelton's just a level below Sinner right now. 40-love here. All right, Sinner holds, so 1-all in this first set. Sinner's looking decent so far. Doesn't seem too hampered out there. Shelton serving now. He's the 5th seed. Had a bye in the first round and then played Flavio Caballi in round 1. Got out of them match 7-6, 6-3, and then played Andrei Rublev in the round of 16. Similar scoreline there, 7-6, 6-3. Pretty tight tiebreaker in that first set of that match. Who pulls it out? Jannik Sinner, so far he's played Zizou Burgess and then Francisco Cerundolo. Won the first match against Burgess 6-4, 6-2, and then Cerundolo, he won that 7-5, 6-1. Physically did not look very well in the first set of that match especially. Thought there was one point where maybe he was considering pulling out, but he kept going. Cerundolo was serving in that set down 6-5 to send it to a tiebreak, and then just kind of broke himself. Gifted that first set to Jannik, and then the second set pretty straightforward, as a 6-1 scoreline would indicate. At 15-30 right now in this service game. Shelton down a point. A big serve here from Ben. And he pushes the first one a little bit long. Second serve now. And serve hits the tape, bounces out. Just too wide, so it's 15-40 now. 2 break points for Jannik Sinner. Trying to grab an early break and jump ahead in this first set. A little bit of a rally going on here. Shelton trying to attack Sinner's backhand. Doing well moving him around the court. And Shelton wins that point. 30-40 now. That type of point could be important early for Ben, just to try to figure out where Sinner is at physically, see where his head is at right now and what he thinks of having to move around a lot on a point. Good first serve in, and then drop shots, not that great. Sinner gets to it. A little bit of a volley game at the net. Sinner sends one wide, gets it back to Deuce. Not a very good point from Ben there. He definitely stole one. Sinner was maybe a little bit gingerly walking back to the towels. And it's very obvious he's not like 100% at all in this tournament, but he said as much. All right, first serve goes long. Second serve hits it in. Sinner with a good return. Shelton gets it back, and then Sinner puts a forehand into the net. So now from having 2 break points to Shelton being add up. We're back to Deuce. Sinner on the forehand side especially looks like he's hitting it a lot lower and a lot closer to the net than he normally does. Can't really see if it's affecting his spin profile too much yet, but he's just trying to keep the ball low. Maybe try to use Shelton's height against him, put him in an uncomfortable situation. Got a pretty good rally going on right now. Might be the best one of the match so far. Sinner another forehand error into the net. So it's back to add for Shelton. First serve into the net. Looked like he was going down the line. Second serve coming in. Sinner's forehand gets it back. Right. Sinner puts a forehand into the net. It's a bit of a theme early on here. Shelton wins that game, up 2-1 now. "11 minutes into this match now, and there's actual sit down. A couple of chances go away there for Sinner. I think it'll be really interesting here to see how aggressive he is on his serve in this match. Knowing that, like, as he's dealing with some issues with his legs, return game maybe isn't going to be up to par with what it normally is. So maybe we'll see if Jannik gets a little more aggressive on the serve, knowing that those games are more important. Sinner about to serve here. Funky shot from Shelton. Sinner really moving him around on this point. Pretty aggressive. Keeps attacking Ben's backhand. Mary's getting a shot at this point. I think this is the longest rally of the match so far. They're still going. And not really an opening for either of them yet. Sinner just pushes one long. Now bent over. And maybe holding his back now a little bit as well. Yeah, Matthew, it's a great chance for Ben. Look, Ben's a really good tennis player, but the reality is when you're facing Jannik or Carlos right now, you do need them to be a little bit off, I think, if you're going to have a great chance to win. So Sinner is definitely a little bit off right now, physically. So it gets back to 15 all. Good deep shot from Sinner. Shelton wasn't able to get a good racket on it. Both of these players, of course, are qualified for Turin already. Shelton qualifying with his win yesterday sealed his spot. Sinner has been qualified for quite a while at this point, so. Right, Aaron forehand from Shelton goes long, 30-15 now. I think Shelton has a chance. I would, again, like we're talking about injuries with Sinner right now. Shelton's also coming back from a fairly serious shoulder injury, so it's been a quick return. Like, it wasn't quite as serious as I thought it might be when he had to retire at the US Open. He's got a chance, but I would put him in a second tier of competitors. Another forehand from Shelton goes wide. 40-15 now. First serve coming up from Sinner. It's a little, what was that in? That was in. I thought it was long. I think Shelton thought it was long. But it's 2-all now. Matthew, I'm not entirely sure. I feel like Novak might play Turin this year. Of course, last year he waited until quite late to announce he wasn't going to, but I've got a feeling he might be in it this year. Ooh, double fault from Shelton to open up this game. I don't know if he would say by now. Like last year, he didn't announce that he wasn't going to play until like the Vienna tournament was already happening. Ooh. Yeah, Shelton's forehand also going a little bit wild right now. 15-30. This might be another small opening for Sinner to try and take advantage of. It's 8 unforced errors for Shelton so far. Yeah, Sinner did a fantastic job at this point, neutralizing serve, getting the point to neutral really quickly. Now he's maybe on the offensive. Shelton hits another forehand long. We've got 2 more break points now for Jannik Sinner. First serve is up. Gets into the court. Puts a really aggressive angle on his second shot to move Sinner out of the court, but yes, Sinner controls it well. Has a smash here, puts it away. Game Sinner. He has the first break of the match. Is up 3-2 now. Well, had 2 chances in the previous Shelton service game. Didn't take them. This time he does. Got a chance now with his service game to really put his fingerprints all over this set and grab control of it. I think he would. Last year was a little bit different. It was maybe a little more apparent last year, like he was struggling a lot more so than this year with physical issues. I think especially in the second part of the season, there's been an increased focus from him. And yeah, I think post US Open at the press conference he had, they were saying that he doesn't think his like best chances to beat Carlos and Jannik are in best of 5 tournaments anymore, but in best of 3. He still wants to play tennis, obviously. If he didn't want to, he wouldn't. So he still has a ton of competitive motivation. It's a big tournament, and on the world stage, it is the tour finals. Like outside of the Grand Slams, like this is technically the biggest tournament. It's bigger than a 1,000 technically. So I think there's a ton of good reasons for him to want to play it now. Sinner serving. Gets the first one in. Shelton can't get the return back. 15 love. Another point for Sinner there. Shelton is trying to play some really aggressive angles on some of these returns. But Sinner is neutralizing so quickly. 30 love now. Oh, serve goes a little bit wide. Good rally at the moment. Shelton coming in. Tries to put one away. And Sinner with an incredible shot. It was going to be the last shot of that point regardless. Shelton had dragged Sinner off of the court with that volley. Sinner finds the angle, puts it away. Just too good from him. 40 love now. Shelton tried to come in, but seemed a little bit hesitant. Maybe a couple of steps farther back than he needed to be. Sinner holds to love, 4-2 now. I love 15. It feels like Shelton has lost something since the first 10 minutes or so. That's a good serve down the tee. Got Jannik out of position. This first set could get away from Ben quickly, though, if he doesn't find some more form here. A good serve from him, very deep. A couple of shots. Sinner can't get one back across. So 30-15 now. I'll talk about the WTA finals. I think I just change over a little bit. A small preview. We did John and I did a draw preview. Brenner was on there as well. A bit of a draw preview. WTA finals a couple of days ago, and then of course WTA weekly was yesterday. The day before. Can't remember. Nick and Van Shore on that, so I'm sure we'll have some coverage of that as well, some watch-alongs while that tournament is happening. 40-30 right now. Sinner can't get return in play. So Shelton holds on. 4-3 in favor of the Italian right now. WTA finals, I think, are going to be... I think it's going to be pretty interesting. There's a nice mix of players that have some experience, have won the tournament before. Of course, we got the big three of Sabalenka, Iga, Coco, and some new faces as well. Anna Samova, Keys, making their first appearances. Rybakina back in the finals. Paulini is back. Who am I missing? Pegula back as well. So it's a nice mix this year. Players, I feel like Sabalenka is probably the favorite. So it's a fairly decent group for her. Paulini and Pegula are pretty good matchups for her. Coco's been a challenge at times, but I mean, round robin format. Realistically, if you win 2 of your 3 matches in the group stage, like you're going to be moving on. So I think Sabalenka and Goff will move out of Group 1, and then Group B, I think Iga's going to move on. I think Anisimova is going to move on. Yeah, Keys just hasn't played a lot over the last few months. And really, like, her good stretch goes back to the beginning of the season. And then, yeah, Rybakina, she's getting better. It's been a more consistent year for her, but she's been a little too up and down. I think it could be a tough group for her. Iga's done fairly well against her as well. But Elena has some good wins in that matchup as well. So I think Iga and Anisimova going through. And then I forget exactly who I had 1-2 in each group, but I think I had Sabalenka and Iga in the championship match, and then Sabalenka winning it. Okay. 15 love, Sinner serving. Pretty wide angles here from both of them. Shelton tries to change direction, just doesn't get a good racket on that ball. 30 love now. Another great forehand from Jannik. Serve was good. Shelton's return was fine. Sinner just going inside out with that forehand. 40 love now. And that's an ace to close out the game. Five, 3 now for Sinner. Yeah, I think I agree with that. Shelton might. I think he might do well in Turin. Even quicker conditions, and I mean, he's not playing badly here. I think for him, it might be a little bit matchup dependent. Well, does he end up with in his group? I think interesting. Note, and I think maybe in between sets, heading into the start of the second set, I'll maybe like talk about the ATP finals a little bit more. Shelton can't get a slice forehand back to the other side of the court. So love 15 now. So Matthew, the way they choose the groups is essentially they're 4 pots, and they put the 1 and 2 seeds in pot, 3 and 4 go in a pot, 5 and 6 go in a pot, 7 and 8 go in a pot, and then they just pick 1 from each group. So 1 and 2 will be in different groups. But then, like, number 1, it could be number 3 or number 4 in their group. And then either number 5 or number 6, and then either 7 or 8. So it's not like 1, 3, 5, 7 or 1, 4, 5, 8. So there's a little more randomized than that with the 4 pots. I have Sabalenka winning WTA finals. Love 30 here on the Shelton serve, and a second serve coming for Jannik. Good return for Shelton to come in a couple of steps. In a very comfortable look. It's love 40 now. Jannik Sinner has 3 set points. He saves the first one. Good serve down the tee. Sinner flailing for it. Puts it back behind the back of the court. 15-40. First serve, body serve, right at Sinner. He wasn't expecting that one. Oh, no. Shelton put a shot right to Sinner's backhand. He had to come in for it, wide open for it. Sinner takes the first set, 6-3. All right, as producer's saying here, we're going to have a quick 90-second break. Be back for the start of the second set in just a second here.
Thanks for tuning into this watch along. While there's a break in play, here's a reminder to hit the like button, subscribe, and click that notification bell. Your support helps to keep the channel going. While we're here, you can now become a member to enjoy perks, including badges for the live chat, but also bonus material, such as interviews with top players from both ATP and WTA tours. The membership link is pinned in the live chat. You can also follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. So whether it be serves or volleys, forehands or backhands, serve bots or drop shots, we've got you covered, whether that be via our website, talking-tennis.com, where you can read features and interviews from our top writers. Or if you prefer us in audio form, you can subscribe to our podcast on Apple, Amazon, or Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts from. Remember, we offer you wall-to-wall coverage via our regular watch-alongs, magazine shows such as Nick's WTA Weekly or Damien and Mario's ATP version. Plus, we deliver top content from people on the ground, actually at the tournaments, so you get even nearer to the action. So, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on all things tennis.
Welcome back. About to start the second set here. And Sinner will be serving to start this off. It's an interesting point here from Matthew, bringing up in the chat that with Shelton and de Minaur clinching their places following wins yesterday, maybe there's a drop down in motivation. Maybe there is a little bit. I think for de Minaur, it's a double whammy of he clinched and he's facing someone, Bublik, who's still trying to fight his way into the finals. So maybe like 2 prongs like going against him in that match. For Shelton, I think maybe it's the physical nature just as much as anything. Like Sinner obviously is a little bit physically compromised. Shelton, though, has had some time off following an injury recently. So he just hasn't played a lot of tennis in the last month and a half. So there's some match fitness that needs to come back. And playing a third match in 3 days, it's always going to wear you down a little bit more. So I think it's, for him, it may be the physical side just as much as any like mental letdown. So hard to know which of those is a bigger factor. 15-all. So we could talk about ATP finals a little bit while we're on the conversation. So Carlos Alcaraz has clinched, obviously, quite a while ago. Same for Jannik Sinner. They've had their spots in the finals clinch for a decent amount of time now. Zverev and Novak were both qualified coming into this week. And then Taylor Fritz, was it Tuesday, I think, in his first match in the second round, finalized his spot. And then, of course, yesterday, Ben Shelton and Alex de Minaur both clinched their spots with wins. So 7 of the 8 spots are spoken for right now. Right now, Lorenzo Musetti is in the 8th spot. He lost fairly early in this tournament, second round, to Lorenzo Sonego. And he's now going to be playing in Athens. So trying to defend a few more points. We'll see if he plays there. Kind of depends on what happens with Felix. So Oje Aliassime is currently in 9th. He's had a pretty good run this week, beating Alexander Muller, Francisco Comenzano first round, then Muller, Altmaier, and then Vachereau today. He will play Alexander Bublik in the next round, so 2 players that still have a shot to grab that 8th seed in the finals from Musetti. Sinner has held his first game here to go up 1-love in the second set. Yeah, so that Bublik FAA match going to be really interesting tomorrow. The semifinals of Paris. Bublik, obviously, it's a pretty big matchup for him. He needs it a little bit more. Felix, maybe he could push it into next week when he's playing, but for Bublik and Medvedev, who we'll talk about in a moment, like this is, they need to win this tournament. They're going to have an outside shot. So currently Felix, semifinals of Paris. If he were to win the semifinal match, he would pass Musetti in the race, which then could bring it all down to next week. Felix, if he were to win Paris, I think it looks like he would clinch it if he were to win Paris. So he's potentially 2 matches away, and then I think if he clinches this week, you might see some late withdrawals from some of these players heading into next week. Some of them have appearance fees for those tournaments, so won't necessarily be withdrawing. So right now it's kind of Musetti who still has a chance if Felix isn't able to win Paris. If Felix wins Paris, he's in. If he doesn't, it kind of comes down to next week. It does become really interesting. So right now, Bublik is 11th in the race. He's ahead of Medvedev. Bublik's in the semifinals. Medvedev is going to play Alexander Zverev in the quarterfinals in the next match, right after this one is finished. So he would jump ahead of Bublik again in the race if he were to win that one. So essentially for Medvedev and Bublik, they need to win. And even then, especially in Bublik's case, Bublik might need to win this week and next week if he were to have a shot. Bublik will be playing in Metz as the 2 seed, which is where Felix is going to be the 1 seed. And then in Athens, you've got Novak Djokovic, who's going to be the 1 seed. Lorenzo Musetti will be the 2 seed there. And yeah, Medvedev might not be playing next week. I don't see him on the schedule anywhere. So yeah, Medvedev may be throwing everything into this week. And if he wins it and is able to get in, maybe he's happy with that, or maybe he'll just call it if he's not able to call the season. If he isn't able to do it, which it's 1 week, there have been some players that have already called their season within the last couple of weeks, so that's kind of the state of the race right now. It's really down to Felix and what he can do over the next 48 hours in Paris. All right, Sinner's just held again. So up 2-1 here in the second set. So right now, essentially it's a 2-horse race, I guess. Well, I think Casper's out. I think he's been eliminated. Bublik essentially needs to win Paris and have a really good week in Metz. He might need to win Metz. And honestly, then, like, even depending on what Felix is able to do over the remainder of this tournament and next week, even that might not quite be enough. Which for Bublik to even be in this position right now after what, I mean, I don't know if he even had 5 wins before the end of April. So what he's done over the last 6 months is to even be in the conversation at this point is absolutely incredible. That's Shelton stepping up to serve now. First serve goes into the net. So that picked Coco to win WTA finals. Nick went for Iga. I went for Sabalenka. I don't remember who Brenner picked. Producer, remind me though. I think you picked Anna Samova to win. It's love 15 right now on the Shelton serve. Now a second serve. Pretty good rally here. It's been a while since we had a longer rally. Going forehand to forehand, kind of, yeah. That's a good backhand from Sinner. Put Shelton in a really tough position. Love 30 now. Feel like if Sinner wins this game, he might be on cruise control for the rest of this match. Pretty important moment for Ben. Down love 30, he needs to hold on to this one. That's a good way to start. Serve out wide or an ace. This is fifth of the match. 15-30. At 30 all now. It's been interesting, I think, watching Jannik on return so far in this match. So Paris Masters are being held at a new venue this year. So everything's a little bit different. Shelton had swim long. So 30-40, break point for Sinner now. Oh, the entire venue is different than it has been in previous years. So things specifically that I want to just highlight, like lighting is a little bit different than it was in the previous venues. So there's been a couple of moments today. Shelton's a serve and gets stuck in the net. It's interesting. Second serve now. I'll finish that thought in a moment. It's a good forehand from Ben, bringing Sinner out wide. Looks like he's trying to bash his way out of this one. He just out hits himself a little bit right there. Sinner gets the break. He's up 3-1 now in the second set. We're just 50 minutes into this match. It's been a relatively quick one so far. There have been a couple of moments where Sinner has struggled to read Ben's serve, and Ben does have a toss that's a little bit higher than normal. I'm not sure if it's like lights are catching his eyes when the ball is going up that high, but there's been a couple of moments where he's been caught flat-footed and or just guessing the wrong side. Yes. Sinner hits that one off the frame of his racket. It's love 15 now. I think Shelton did have break points. What was it? It was early on in the first set, if he did. I seem to remember that he did. Looks like no, he hasn't. No, Shelton does not have a break point yet. But at love 30, he's got a couple of chances to force one. Oh, and Sinner hits that one. Oh, so Shelton now has a trio of break points. Love 40. Sinner's playing pretty defensively right now on this point, understandably. Shelton gets really aggressive with that forehand, wins the point, gets the break. We're back on serve in the second set. Sinner leading 3-2. Good moment for him converting his first break chance of the game, of the match. Yeah, we'll see if a comeback is on here. An umpire was out of her chair for a moment. Not sure if she maybe had to inspect the net. This was the first changeover since one of those Shelton serves got stuck in net, so maybe just checking to see if there was a hole in it or something. Yeah, I'm not sure. All right, Shelton, 15 love in the service game. With a little bit of momentum. Prediction for Zverev Medvedev. I'm leaning Medvedev. He's been playing really well over the last few weeks. That aside from the fact that over the last couple of years, this has been a pretty good matchup for him. Obviously, there's a little bit of interpersonal thing that is going into that. Yeah, I think Medvedev is going to pull it out. Ooh. All right, 40 love now for Shelton. It's been a pretty straightforward service game for him so far. And he holds the love. 3-all now. Sinner stepping up to serve. First serve in, Shelton. It's the return into the net, so 15 love. Another errant shot from Shelton. 30 love now. Sinner seems like he's getting into a good rhythm on his serve. Got broken last game, but working with good pace right now. Seems pretty comfortable. Shelton tries to rush Sinner a little bit on that return. Try to follow the return in. But it wasn't a great angle. Lots of the court was wide open. Sinner takes advantage of it. So 40 love now. First serve, a little bit long. Good hold from Sinner, bouncing back from getting broken in previous service game. I think this 16, yes, so should be some new balls coming in to play now for Shelton to serve. Yeah, usually that's a little bit of an advantage for the server. For someone who's as big as Shelton, I think he'll be pretty happy that it's happening right now. So winner of this match will face the winner of the next final quarterfinal of the day. The 3-seed Alexander Zverev taking on Daniil Medvedev. He's been on a tear over the last month, doing really well. And of course, semifinal. I'm assuming it will be semifinal number 1 tomorrow. I don't know if the order plays out yet, but I'm assuming that the winner of this match and the winner of that next quarterfinal will be the second one on. And then so first will be Felix Auger-Aliassime and Alexander Bublik. That I believe is looked earlier. Yeah, they played 5 times. FAA with a 3-2 head-to-head lead. And it's 3-1 on hard courts. So certainly some advantages for Felix there, but Bublik has played the more difficult schedule. Up to this point in the tournament, Popyrin, Moutet, Fritz, and then De Minaur today. For Auger-Aliassime was Comensana, Muller, Altmaier, and then Vachereau. So, I mean, historically, probably lean Felix a little bit, but you do just wonder if the jump in competition level that he's going to face has any effect, certainly in the early part of the match. Shelton serving right now, it's love 15. Ooh. More aggressive angles from Shelton that Sinner's just neutralizing. And Shelton hits a forehand just a little bit wide. Couldn't have missed by much. It's close enough to get her Hawkeye replay on the screens. It's a love 30 now. Definitely an opening for Sinner here. First serve down the tee, and that's another ace. 15-30. Now that serve is a really nice weapon to have in your back pocket. Really nice spin profile on that one. That's his 7th of the match now, I believe. Good first serve out wide, deep into the corner. What great defense from Jannik, though, just neutralizing that point. Switched directions, went inside out with a forehand. Shelton was late getting to it. 15-40 now. 2 break points for the Italian. Ooh. All right. Shelton tried a drop shot. Sinner got up to it. But couldn't do much with it, just lofted it up. Shelton didn't have much of a choice with how high up it was than just to pound it right back down at Sinner. So, close call, but I mean, not a point you can have an issue with. 30-40 second break point now. First serve hits the tape and falls back to Ben's side of the net. So second serve now. Second serve goes into the net. That's a break. That's a pretty brutal time for a double fall. 5-3 here in the second set, and we're now in 5 minutes into this match. Sinner will now be serving for it. That's interesting. Medvedev has a main draw wild card for Metz. Yeah, that's the tournament that Felix Auger-Aliassime and Alexander Bublik are in, so yeah, that's going to be a very interesting tournament to follow. Of course, Musetti is in Athens, trying to either defend his and hold on to his number 8 spot in the race, or retake it, depending on how Felix does this week. That's love 15 here. Who's winning ATP finals? Probably pick Sinner as the favorite. And Carlos definitely has a chance. I think Sinner's the favorite. Health permitting, of course. Hold on to that pretty loosely, though, until I see the actual draw and who's in what groups. Good point from Sinner. Coming into the net, changing up the angle. Ben can't get to it. It's 15 all. A Riyadh court speed. Honestly, I haven't seen anything on that yet. My assumption right now is that it's about the same as last year, but who knows? We'll start playing. That's a great serve from Sinner out wide. 30-15 now. Interesting set from the producer. Sinner's made the quarters at least in 9 Masters. If he wins this, only Madrid would be the only one where he hasn't made a semi-final yet, which... Yeah, if you told me there was one where he hadn't made a semi-final yet, I don't know if Madrid would have been my first guess. There's 30 all here in the service game. Maybe a little bit of nerves. You can see Brian Shelton, Ben's dad and coach in the background. Just holding up to number 2 to Ben. Not sure exactly what it means. Whatever it means, it either wasn't helpful or was not executed properly. Sinner wins the point 40-30, and he has a match point now to go into the semifinals here. Serves up, goes down the tee. Shelton gets to it. Sinner does a fantastic job, comes into the net. Really good angle on the volley to put it away. 6-3, 6-3. Yeah, Sinner, really good match from him. Yeah, 7th straight win now against Ben Shelton. Yeah, Josie breaking the news a little bit before me, but yeah, it definitely was not 100% at the start. Seemed a little bit off, but able to fight through whatever he's battling with. Yeah, seemed fine physically. Seemed better than yesterday. Yeah, that first set yesterday was a little bit rough to watch, but so he moves on. Medvedev and Zverev are going to face off next. He will play the winner of that match for a spot in the finals of the Paris Masters. And of course, the other semifinal will be Auger-Aliassime and Bublik. I think will be a fun one. But yeah, not sure if there's anything else to say from this match. If Felix beats Bublik, I think it would knock him out of the race. Yeah, I think Bublik does have to win Paris to stay in, and then, I mean, depending on other results, I think he needs to at least make the finals of Metz next week. And he might need to win the tournament. And then, yeah, he's far enough back that even that might not completely get him in. So there's still a lot of unknown and a lot of players that are close enough that specific scenarios are not quite in the cards yet. Felix, if he wins Paris this week, I think that would qualify him. So yeah, you can see in the chat here, producer just putting in, we'll be back with some more action from Paris tomorrow. Yeah, I might be here with James tomorrow. We'll see if I'm able to make that work for the semifinals. We'll see if we do the other semifinal as well, if we can get people for that. I'll have to see if I can make that work with my schedule. Zach will be doing the final. Always a good time with him. Probably have a couple of people on. And then, yeah, obviously WTA finals start tomorrow as well. So I'm sure we'll be covering some of that over the next week and a half as that's going on. So yeah, I don't think there's anything else left to say. Like and subscribe to the channel if you have not. Hit the notification bell. Thank you all for joining, and yeah, we'll see you all later.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.